Hello out there in Radio Land, and thank you so much for joining me today. I am Dr. Monique, and welcome to another episode of Fix Your Plate with Dr. Monique. You know me, I am the physician in the kitchen. I'm a board certified family physician, 2-time best-selling author, blogger, internet influencer, all of the things, all of the time that I do to bring you information about fixing your plate, eating the best nutrition that you can, preferably plant-based. And we talk about all things nutrition on this show. As always, please feel free to email me at info@drmoniquemay.com or drop me a line on social media at Physician in the Kitchen with any questions you may have pertaining to eating a plant-based diet, eating in general, or healthy lifestyle. And if we choose and read your question on the air, you will get a free copy of my best-selling book, Doc Fix My Plate, The Physician in the Kitchen's Prescriptions for Your Healthy Meal Makeover. How about that? So get those questions in. I know you guys have to have burning questions, so please get them in. So today, it's Saturday. I'm so glad you are taking a few minutes out of your busy day, because even though it's Saturday, I know you all are still busy because, I see you. I am you, right? Just because it's Saturday, still have things to do, errands to run, chores to do, but hopefully you do get some downtime. You hopefully get some self-care, pampering time. I know this past Sunday, I went and got my monthly facial. And it is just, it's the little things in life for me, but getting the monthly facial, it's relaxing. The phone is off. Nobody can bother you for 50 minutes. So, what is it that you like to do to just, pour back into yourself? We are so busy, the hustle and the bustle of everyday life, constantly giving to others, constantly pouring into others, but you can't pour from an empty cup. And so, I hope if you're listening to this, I hope you're taking some time for yourself, whatever that looks like for you, but some time for yourself, whether it's exercise or meditating or gardening or going to church or whatever it is that you do that replenishes and recharges your battery. I hope you do it. At night, we all pretty much probably, some of us may not be as good at it, but most of us probably remember to plug that phone in at night, right? Because what's going to happen? If you don't, the next day, you're not going to get through the day, right? Or you're going to have to stop and charge the phone at some point. You are no different. So please be sure you are plugging in somewhere to recharge your mental and physical and spiritual battery. So today we are going to kind of continue our conversation that we started last week, which was vitamins and minerals from A to zinc, everything in between. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about supplements. We touched on it last week, but we're going to talk about those supplements. Do you need those supplements? Yes or no, right? It's a $1 billion industry. I mean, people are, everyone just about is on a supplement of some kind. So we're going to talk a little bit more about, do you need supplements? What do you need to be concerned about if you are taking supplements, and kind of get into that a little bit more. So first, we're going to pause for a commercial break, and we're going to come back on the other side. Stay tuned.
If you want to educate, empower, and inspire our community, we're providing a wonderful opportunity for anyone who feels they can make a positive impact in the lives of others by applying to be an on-air radio personality. To set up an interview, call 877-342-7770. That's 877-342-7770 to apply. This is your chance to step out on faith. This is your chance to get the experience and education that you need in order to launch to the next level of greatness and make a significant difference. WDRB Media is now hiring on-air radio personalities. If this is you, no experience is required, no previous education needed. They do all the training. Call 877-342-7770 to set up your interview today.
All right. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, You are listening to Fix Your Plate with Dr. Monique. I am your host, the physician in the kitchen, Dr. Monique. And today we're continuing our vitamins and minerals from A to Zinc conversation and that we started last week. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about supplements. So supplements are, they're a billion with a B, billion, 37 billion dollar industry as of 2022. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about those statistics, but just think about that. 30 plus billion dollars are being spent on dietary supplements. So let's kind of just let's step back, level set, kind of define some things. So when we talk about vitamins, we talk about minerals. Vitamins are micronutrients, basically building blocks or basic items that we need in our bodies to help our bodies work better, work more efficiently, but we can't make them ourselves. So we have to take them in some form. And ideally, that form is going to be in your diet, right? Those leafy green vegetables, eating the rainbow, all the stuff that we talk about on this show week in and week out. And minerals are chemicals that help, natural chemicals that help the body, again, to perform up to par. They help brain tissue, nervous tissue, muscles, various functions throughout the body. So when we talk about supplements, those are various forms of these micronutrients that people take to supplement or to add to what they're not getting in their diet. So a supplement, remember, it's not meant to replace. If something is supplemental, that means it's an addition to what it's adding to, right? And so, but the problem though is sometimes people rely on these supplements too much because they're not getting what they need in their diet. Now, the formal definition of a supplement is something that completes or enhances something else when added to it. So that doesn't mean it's replacing it. It means it's being used in addition, but sometimes people are using it more as their primary source than as, in addition to what they might be getting through their diet. So some more of these statistics for you, just to kind of blow your mind. More than 1/3 of Americans take supplements. Multivitamin or mineral supplements make up 40% of all vitamin sales. So where you're getting more than one thing in a supplement versus, just a vitamin B12 or just a vitamin D, the multivitamins take up 40% of all vitamin sales. The most common supplements actually contain fish oil, omega-3, DHA, and EPA fatty acids. And those are protective for the heart and the brain and so forth. So the most common one on the market that's being used right now are those fatty acids, those fish oils and omega-3. And about 30% of adults aged 65 and older, so my parents' age, probably your parents' age, 30% of those adults take 4 or more supplements of any kind. It's a lot of pills. And I don't know if you've seen some of these vitamins and these supplements. These things are huge. They are huge. Some of these vitamins can be really, really big. I know they've got chewables and gummy bears and so forth, different forms of them, because some of those can be hard to kind of choke down, which can be a concern for older folks or people with digestive or swallowing problems. So what do you need to know when it comes to supplements, right? I'm here to give you information. My job is to share with you because sharing is caring. And I want to give you the information you need so that you can make the best decisions you can about your health. Now, remember, disclaimer, the information on this show is not meant to treat, diagnose, prevent, or cure any illness. If you are under the care of a physician or need to be under the care of a physician, I highly recommend that you take this information with a grain of, I don't want to say a grain of salt, right? Because we talk about low salt on here, but you get my point. Take the information, apply it, take it to your doctor and find out what's appropriate and correct for you. Because if you have certain medical conditions, you may need to be on a supplement. I'm talking in generalities right now, not specifically for certain conditions. So if you are under the care of a physician or have a chronic illness or a medical problem, please, please, please get your information from your doctor. But let's talk about some things about supplements that you may not be aware of. So supplements can come in multiple forms. I just spoke a few minutes ago about the pills or tablets, but they can also be a powder. It can be a liquid, right? You can add it to juice or water or what have you. So it comes in different forms. So that gives people lots of options, which is probably contributing to that $30 billion, industry. If everybody had to take those big, ginormous horse pills, probably wouldn't be $30 billion in revenue. So, and they can contain either just one vitamin or mineral, or it could be a multivitamin. Some of them contain amino acids, like we mentioned, or fatty acids, like we mentioned earlier. They can be herbal. They can be botanicals, which are, more natural plant-based supplements. And because they're labeled as dietary supplements, they actually don't have to have FDA scrutiny and approval. And we'll get a little bit more into that later. But so under the ones that are typically dietary supplements are things like your calcium, your fish oil, echinacea, green tea, vitamin D, things like that. And these generally have in common things like they help boost your immune system, or they may help your memory. This is what they're touted to do. Or they may help with a certain condition. This will help lower your blood sugar or help control your blood sugar. Or this one will help control your blood pressure. And so not only are they like the typical vitamins or minerals, but then there are herbals and quote unquote natural items that are touted to help control or prevent certain diseases. And that can be fraught with problems that, again, like I just said, if you're under the care of a physician, you want to make sure you're getting your information from your doctor, because some of these can actually have interactions. And we'll talk about that too. So the question is, so the next point is, well, why take a supplement? Do they actually work? We hit on this last week a little bit. For the most part, most people are not going to need a supplement. If you're eating a balanced diet, you're eating the rainbow, you're eating all those colors of vegetables and fruits, you're getting what you need day in and day out. If your diet is what it should be. And when I say diet, I'm talking about what makes up the majority of your food, what you eat day in and day out, not a diet like a fad diet or a challenge or something like that. But diet meaning, what do you eat, most days out of the week or out of the month? So if that diet is quote unquote well balanced, meaning you're getting the right kind of carbs, you're getting the right kind of fat, you're getting the right kinds of proteins and things like that, and in the right portions and sizes and so forth, more than likely you are getting what you need. But there are some kind of common supplements, and we'll kind of run through the list here, the ones that you probably recognize some of these, like your vitamin B12 and folic acid, which is also part of the vitamin B family, which has several vitamins in it. We mentioned calcium, we mentioned fish oil, zinc, melatonin, vitamin D. These are kind of some of the common ones that you may be familiar with. Folic acid, I do want to say a special word on that one, because we do often recommend pregnant women, or women actually before they become pregnant, women of childbearing age who are not using contraception and who are sexually active, in other words, people who can become pregnant, it is recommended that you're taking a multivitamin with the folate in it, because we know that decreases the risk of birth defects, specifically the spinal cord, the spinal column, a condition called spina bifida, which is basically where the lower part of the spine is not formed completely, and it can cause neurologic problems in the fetus or infant. So because a woman may not know she's pregnant for several weeks, it's ideally, young women who are of childbearing age are already on that, so that by the time they're pregnant, they don't have to start taking it. But that is recommended. So, again, there are going to be special times or special populations where we recommend, hey, you need to take a little bit more because of this. So that's one example with pregnant women. So, but we going back to the question though of, well, but do these things really work? Do I really, am I taking this or am I just paying for expensive urine, right? Because when the kidney processes your blood, or you just peeing all this stuff out in your urine. So the science hasn't really shown that these are all that they're cracked up to be, right? So some of these vitamin claims will be that they make you live longer or slow down your cognitive or brain decline, decrease your chance of cancer or heart disease. And the studies, the evidence really isn't showing that. It hasn't shown that conclusively. We'll put it like that. And so it's actually illegal for these companies to say these things. They're not supposed to be making these claims because, like I said, we're not treating, we're not preventing, we're not diagnosing or curing diseases. So these companies are not supposed to be making those claims. So, and don't forget too, what you buy, what you get may be actually different from what what were used in studies or what someone else was using. So you want to be careful with that because these are not all FDA regulated, like I mentioned before. There can be impurities, there can be other ingredients in them that actually can be harmful. They actually can interact with medications. So you just really want to be careful with that. People often think, oh, if it's natural, it must be good for me. And like we talked about a few weeks ago on here, the word natural on a food label, more likely than not, more often than not, doesn't even mean what you think it means as far as if this is something you should be eating. Natural just means, well, at some point they started off with a natural product, a natural item, so a grain or a fruit or what have you. But it's been processed now so much that it's so far removed from anything remotely resembling natural that it's not worth it. But they can still put that word on the label because there's no FDA regulation saying that they can't. So similar with vitamins, people think, oh, St. John's wort, that's a natural, that's a plant, it's natural, it's helpful, it's healthy, or it's good for me. But if you're on certain medications, it may not be good for you. In fact, it can be very harmful due to the interactions. So you really just want to be aware of that. At the end of the day, if you feel that you need a supplement, you need something extra, take whatever it is to your doctor, to your pharmacist. If you don't have a physician, if you have a pharmacist that you trust, and just say, hey, look, I think I need this. I want to be on this. What do you recommend? Particularly if you are on medications. I cannot stress that enough. People end up in the hospital with all types of complications because of interactions between prescription medications as well as their over-the-counter or their herbal supplements. Because that's the thing. People think, oh, it's over the counter. There's no harm. And that's not true. Not true. So over the counter just means you don't need a prescription to get it. But think about it. If you're taking in something, a medication, a supplement, what have you, you're expecting it to have some type of effect, right? Or else why would you take it? We talked before about the placebo effect, but it would, and that's where if I gave you a shot full of saline salt water and said, hey, this is going to make your pain go away, there's up to like probably about a 60% chance your pain would go away. Because I told you it was going to go away, and now you've bought into that. You believe it. When in reality, I just gave you salt water, which has no pain relieving effects. So, if you are, if you're taking these medicines and you're expecting them to, or these supplements, and you're expecting them to make you feel better or to work, you're expecting that, right? So that means they have to have some kind of effect on your body. So just because it's over the counter doesn't mean that it's not having an impact. It's not having an effect that can be harmful. Aspirin is over the counter, and we know aspirin can increase the risk for bleeding, right? Acetaminophen or Tylenol is over the counter, but if you have liver problems or you drink too much alcohol, it can cause problems for you. Ibuprofen or Motrin, over the counter, but people with kidney problems or stomach ulcers may not need to be taking that. So over the counter, natural, Um, these words that kind of get thrown around. Please don't let them lull you into a false sense of security that everything's okay and you don't have to worry about it, because that is not always the case. And again, they're not subject to the same federal regulations and scrutiny that the prescription medications are. And I'm talking more now about the supplements. So you want to be careful. And let's run down a list of some that can actually be harmful. So for example, vitamin K, if you're on a prescription blood thinner, vitamin K can actually make that blood thinner less effective, which puts you at risk for clotting. The reason you're taking a blood thinner is because your doctor doesn't want your blood to clot. Well, if you're taking something that blocks or diminishes or decreases that medicine from doing its job, then it's going to increase your risk of clots. So that's one. St. John's wort can actually make certain medicines like antidepressants and birth control pills less effective. Think about that for a minute. You're on a St. John's, you're taking some St. John's, you're taking your birth control, you end up with an unintended pregnancy, right? Or it makes sure your depression is getting worse. So things like this are things that we really need to think about. Certain herbal supplements can actually cause liver damage. And ginkgo, which people take ginkgo biloba, they take that it's supposed to help like with brain, with memory and so forth, can actually increase your risk for blood thinning, which can lead to bleeding. So think about that, right? If you're taking that and you're on a blood thinner, or you are taking just aspirin or even ibuprofen, all of those can affect your blood's ability to clot. So you want to be careful with that. And so like we've talked about, you want to be sure that you talk to your doctor. So, after you listen to all this and you still say, yeah, I still think I need something because of whatever your reason is. Have a talk with your doctor. I cannot stress this enough. Especially if you're on medications, you definitely want to do that. Because you want to make sure that your doctor knows everything you're taking. Number one, you want to make sure that you're taking everything that your doctor thinks you're taking, right? And how you're taking it, because sometimes how doctors think or tell the patient to take their medicine may not be the way they're actually taking the medicine for a variety of reasons. It could be that the patient just is confused and doesn't understand the directions, or they have to take it too many times a day and it's, they forget, or they are afraid if they may think they're getting too strong of a dose, so they decide to just cut it back themselves. Or they're concerned about money. They feel like, well, if I'm supposed to take it twice a day, maybe it'll last me longer if I only take it once a day. But they're not getting the full effect of the medicine, which is putting them at risk for progression of the problem that they were put on the medicine for. So there's lots of reasons why patients may not take their medicines the way the doctor wants them to take it. So bring those medicines with you to the doctor. Do what's called a medication reconciliation or a medication review, and just say, hey, look, this is what I'm on. What do you think about me also taking this? Okay. So we're going to go take a quick break and come back and wrap up. We've been talking about vitamin supplements, everything from A to Z and A to zinc and in between. And do you even need those supplements? And we're going to come back and talk a little bit about vitamin water, which found some interesting information about that. I can't wait to share it with you on the other side of the commercial. This is Dr. Monique, and thank you for listening to Doc Fix My Plate.
Calling all business owners, all independent artists, and all nonprofit organizations. If you are in need of radio advertising, we encourage you to call 877-342-7770. That's 877-342-7770. Through their Community Give Back Project, there is an entrepreneur foundation that is paying for free radio advertising. That's right, I said free, F-R-E-E, in support of our small business owners, independent artists, and nonprofit organizations. Please call 877-342-7770 in order to receive your free radio advertising today.
All right. Thank you so much for coming back. If you're just joining us, this is Dr. Monique, and I'm your host of Fix Your Plate with Dr. Monique. And we're talking today about vitamins and minerals and supplements. And we've been talking about whether you need them, how to watch out for any interactions and things like that. But in the last few minutes, I'd like to talk about vitamin water, because this is one particular brand of water that comes with supplements, comes with vitamins. And I came across this doing my research, and I just wanted to kind of share this with you, because on the surface, you would think, oh, how can vitamin water be bad? It literally has vitamin and water in the name. So what could possibly be bad? Well, we've talked on here time and time again about how marketing, and especially in the food and beverage industry, there's a lot of psychology in that. And so the words that you think may mean a certain thing for your benefit on these labels of foods may not always mean, or may not actually translate to what you think they mean. So vitamin water is actually put out by a famous company called the Coca-Cola Company. And they have things like adjectives like focus and endurance. And so, you think, oh, this sounds good, right? Because who doesn't need something to help them focus or endure through a long, busy day? But, and so of course it has minerals and it has vitamins, but it also has added sugar, which in excess, we know, leads to things like diabetes, obesity, etc. So you want to be careful with that, because you want to read the label and see what the sugar is. So just real quickly here, it may contain as much sugar as Coca-Cola. So 120 ounce bottle of vitamin water has about 120 calories and 32 grams of sugar, which is about 50% less than a Coke. So that's about, 32 grams of sugar. If you did the math, if you're trying to watch your calorie intake for the day, that's a good, at least probably, I would say at least a third of what you would probably want to get in calories just from sugar, if not more. So because of that, it can be highly fattening, right? So you're thinking, I'm drinking water, why would I gain weight? Well, you'd gain weight because of the added sugars that are in there. So you really want to watch that, because it's liquid sugar. Anything you put in your mouth other than water is going to have a calorie count associated with it. So this is a liquid calorie, but it still counts. For example, if you're sticking to a 2,500 calorie diet, the amount of sugar that you can get from vitamin water, as I mentioned, the 32 grams of water or of sugar, it can equal 50 to 100% of your recommended upper limit for your sugar intake. So it just depends on what your goals are for the day. And then lastly, it really doesn't supply any necessary nutrients. The interesting thing is, it says all types of vitamin water contain B vitamins at about 50 to 120% of the recommended daily intake. And then the vitamin C is about the same, 50 to 150%. Most people are not going to be vitamin B and C deficient. And taking extra amounts of these vitamins doesn't give you any health benefits, right? And what does that mean? So that means your body just pees it out, because your body is smart. Your body knows what you need. And if you're giving it extra, it's really you're not going to retain that. And like we mentioned before, taking excess of something you don't need may actually be harmful to you. Those of you out there drinking that vitamin water, I do recommend just regular old water. If you're trying to hydrate, stay well hydrated during your workout, during your exercise, stick to basic water. You will get what you need there without the extra calories from the excess sugar. So I hope this information has been helpful. You guys, please be sure to drop me a line, info@Dr. Monique May. Slide it to my DM at Physician in the Kitchen. And like I said, if you give us a question that we read and answer on the air, you'll get a free autographed copy of my book, Doc Fix My Plate, The Physician in the Kitchen's Prescriptions for Your Healthy Meal Makeovers. For those of you who don't submit your questions online, you can pick up your own copy at docfixmyplatebook.com. It'll still be autographed. It just won't be free. So until next week, I'm wishing you good food and good health. Be sure to eat the rainbow. Get the best nutrition that you have available to you. Eat the rainbow and invest in your health one plate at a time. I am your host, Dr. Monique, and you've been listening to Fix Your Plate with Dr. Monique. Until next time, be well.